What up, race fans? How about that 250 race in San Diego? Second mudder on the season, which is very unusual. We usually go through an entire Supercross season without any mud races. Hopefully those two are it. Hopefully we can go the rest of this season without any rain, but it's hard to tell with the way the weather's working out this year. We might have a few more of them. But it did not disappoint. As I've said before, most mud races suck, but these ones are turning out okay. And San Diego was interesting all the way through. The three people that started up front were not the three people that ended up front. We had guys making mistakes, losing the leads, falling back. We had guys that started in the back of the pack, not making mistakes, just climbing their way up as the front runners did make their mistakes. We had a new winner, 3 races, 3 winners. The only thing that stayed the same is Jordan Smith. He's still got the red plate 2 weeks in a row. Whether he can hold on to it for a third week, we'll have to wait and find out. With Anaheim coming up, and it's a Triple Crown, anything can happen. We all know how Triple Crowns turn out. Something always goes wrong at a Triple Crown for somebody. So let's jump into this thing and break it down. Nate Thrasher. He finally had a ride everyone was expecting. He had a bad round 1, bad round 2, but he come out in round 3 and did what he was supposed to do. Now he got a pretty half-decent jump out of the gate. He come around that first turn about 9th or 10th place, but he didn't panic, he didn't push. He just settled into his pace, started picking guys off. Once he worked his way to the front, all we had to do is wait for them front 2 to make a mistake. Got gifted the win, just had to ride it home, and that's exactly what he did. So are we looking at a turnaround point for Nate Thrasher? Is this where he starts a dominant run? Starts running up front with these boys? Or was it just a one-time thing because of the mud? We're just going to have to wait and find out. Because next week at A2, we're back on dry land. And it's going to be all about speed and consistency at that point. And whoever gets the whole shot and can keep it, not make mistakes, that's who's going to win on the dry tracks. Now our points leader, Jordan Smith, he didn't do half bad. He got a pretty good start. He was up front. Think he settled into about 3rd place as things settled down, but he made a couple mistakes and fell back. Luckily, he ended up getting a podium when them guys made mistakes. Was able to hold on to that red plate. Made it through the mud. Now, whether he's able to hold on to the points lead when we get back on dry tracks, once again, we're just going to have to see. I have a feeling things are going to shake up for everybody this Saturday when we have an actual race that isn't just based off the start and how good you do in the mud. And Levi Kitchen, he could have won that race. He was hounding RJ for the first 7 minutes of that main event, but he was pushing too hard, ended up going down. Once he went down, he had a little bit of trouble getting up because he was on the face of a jump. By the time he got up, he was around 6th or 7th. Spent the rest of the main event battling with Joe Shimoda and Mitchell Oldenburg. Speaking of RJ, he threw it away this weekend like he's done many times before. He pulled that whole shot. He fought off Levi Kitchen till Levi made that mistake. Then he was fighting off Marchbanks. Ended up making a mistake. Marchbanks went by, had the lead. Was in 2nd place. Ended up making a mistake. Falling back to 3rd. And then on the very last lap with 2 turns to go, he made another mistake. This time hit the ground, fell back to 6th. So RJ went from whole shotting and winning to having a podium to ended up in 6th place. All because he was pushing too hard in the mud, trying to salvage points. Where if he would have just calmed down a little bit, he would have been able to salvage points. And Garrett Marchbanks, he just got robbed. He had a horrible start. He was last off the gate. Tucked up the inside of the first turn, ended up coming around top 10, picked a few guys off real quick, rode the entire race in the top 5, ended up making his way to the lead, but with about 2 minutes left to go in that main event, he got held up by a lapper. That's when Thrasher was able to get by and steal the lead, bring it home. And Shimoda, he had a pretty decent week, better than he did last week getting a DNF. Now, he got a little bit auto happy off that gate. He come off that gate sideways, almost took himself out. But he ended up tucking up the inside, just like Marchbanks did. Ended up making his way up to 5th. And then when RJ wrecked on the last lap, got gifted 4th place. Got some points that he needed. Not enough. He's still back a little bit. He's going to have to come in A2 swinging. He's going to have to pull some whole shots and get some first and seconds. Maybe even win the Triple Crown. and he could be back in this thing. Or he could have a bad week and be out of it completely. And all these boys better watch out for Oldenburg, because Oldenburg's looking pretty good. He got a good start, was running up front, made a few mistakes, ended up falling back. I think all in all, he finished 6th place, which isn't too bad for being on a privateer bike, running around all these factory boys. But once again, we get back on a dry track this weekend, he might not be up there with them. These guys might leave Oldenburg in the dust. His days of running up front might be over, or he might just make it a consistent thing. Same thing with Carson Mumford. He was looking good at Anaheim 1, half decent in San Fran, but he had a bad weekend this weekend. I don't know if he wrecked off the start or if he just got buried in the pack from a bad gate jump, but he started pretty much last. Was only able to work his way up to the top 15, which I'm going to assume is because of the mud. If it wouldn't have been a mud race, he probably would have been able to work his way up a lot farther. Because the way he was looking at Anaheim 1, he was running up front with them boys. So he might just be one of the guys running up front in this Triple Crown this weekend, making it hard for him. So I can't wait for next week. I cannot wait to see an actual, good, dry Supercross race. See where all these guys actually stack up against each other without these freaking mud parties. Hopefully that's the last of the mud races. Mud races are only good for motocross in my opinion. They destroy Supercross. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for the rest of the Supercross season being dry. And we will see where these boys stack up against each other in a Triple Crown. I can't wait to see it, and definitely can't wait to talk about it.